Hello, everyone. I'm Joel, your host for Talking Trends, where we explore trends in the real estate market and all luxury things in the greater Sarasota area. Today, we're very honored to have Fred Krasne with us, the Director of Business Development at Dimmit Automotive. Welcome, Fred.
Thank you, Joel, very much.
Great to have you here. I mean, everybody loves cars, right?
Fortunately, yes.
So what's kind of happening in that luxury market realm right now?
Well, it's been white hot for the last 18 months. And we are coming out with new products that are going electric, like every other manufacturer. Rolls-Royce will be coming out with a new model in 2024 called the Spectre. It'll be a coupe that will generate 1,001 horsepower.
Wow, crazy.
It's unbelievable. We're now...
Everybody needs 1,001 horsepower.
Sure. Absolutely. Aston Martin DBX, which is a new SUV that came out last year. They're going to be coming out with a 697 horsepower internal combustion engine SUV that will be the fastest SUV in the world, with the capability of going 0 to 60 in 3.1 seconds.
Wow, crazy, crazy. And so, you know, I certainly over the last couple of years, I think everybody who goes to buy and, pick out a new car there, at least what I've heard and seen is people are actually having to pay a premium to get those even above MSRP. Is that still the trend today, or has that changed much?
It's changing now.
Yeah.
It was absolutely on point, unfortunately, for the consumer last fall,
right,
where they were paying anywhere between $20,000 to $100,000 over a sticker, depending on the brand.
Sure.
We at Dimmitt, we were charging $20,000 to $30,000 over. That's back down a little bit, and that's happening throughout the industry.
Right.
But I had heard of dealerships in the Mercedes brand world that were charging $50,000 to $100,000 for the G-Wagon.
Right.
And that has dropped off tremendously.
Yeah. Interesting, because I have a couple clients who maybe fall into that scenario for the G-Wagon.
Right.
And obviously resales, I mean, that market has been incredibly hot too. Are we still seeing that same trend with resales?
Yes. What's been interesting, a trend that I had never seen before COVID and the pandemic situation, was lease returns. People have been buying out their leases in the past. Now they're turning their cars in early because they have equity. When the leases were first originated 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the end value is tremendously higher. Right. So they're saying, okay, I turn it in, my payoff is lower, I have equity, let's get a new car. It's been an accelerant. Yeah, opportunity buying almost to a certain extent. Absolutely. Getting into a new car and running with it. Because I think it's the same concept and you know, usually when you had a new car, you drove it off the lot and you kind of lost, 10, 20% at that point? Easily. Now it's nowhere near that problem. If somebody, actually, a strategy that we've been using that has been helpful to the consumer is that if they bespoke a car and order it, in the past it was 3, 4, 5 months when you got your car. Now it's 6, 7, 8 months, even up to a year, depending on how bespoke the car is. So we are suggesting, why don't you take, for now, a pre-owned low mileage car. They don't drive more than 2,000 to 3,000 miles in a year. Bring it in. When your car comes in, you're going to get the majority of your expense back. Exactly. It's interesting because it was always a factor you had to look at when you were buying a car, like what was the discount that came off the top when you drove it off. And I think that's part of the reason. I mean, my guess is why new car sales are actually so strong, because they look at resales versus new, and it's like it's almost better to go with the new. Yeah, exactly. For a while, the pre-owned cars that are 1 or 2 years older were more expensive than a new one. Yeah, which I guess it's just, it's there, right? You can touch it and have it. Right. So that was the demand driving everything. Yes. So obviously it's really interesting trends, I think, in the automobile business. I think you hit on a few of them earlier. I mean, all these luxury brands seem to be coming out with the SUV. Yes. Which is fascinating, right? It's been amazing, actually, because now in 3 of our brands, Rolls-Royce, Bentley, and Aston Martin, we're selling more SUVs than sedans or convertibles or coupes.
Yeah.
The demand for the SUV, for the family, has been overwhelming, actually.
Right.
And it's going to continue.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, too, because I mean, obviously not even in the luxury realm, but across all brands, it seems like the SUV just driving everything for car sales. And I even remember my son did not want an SUV. So your options of getting a sedan are actually somewhat limited these days because the brands are producing more SUVs than anything.
Exactly.
It's kind of fascinating. So I guess on that context, I mean, we always talk about what's trending, obviously the SUVs. What about brands? Are there some brands that are higher demand than others, or?
Well, you have your traditional brands like Ferrari in the exotic world, Lamborghini. Aston Martin is making tremendous inroads, especially with the SUV.
Yeah.
Mercedes is involved in partially the design, their engines and their electronics.
Yeah.
Bentley has come a long way when they redesigned in 2020. They're all-wheel drive. Some of them are even four-wheel steering. So they're much more nimble. The Rolls-Royce, the Cullinan, has been the king of the hill. That's been white hot. McLaren, they are going more and more electric over time. There is rumor there's going to be an electric SUV coming out. So in terms of the brands and the SUV feature to all those brands, Ferrari's going to be coming out with one.
Interesting.
So it's in demand.
Yeah.
And the manufacturers are listening.
Yeah. I mean, it's fascinating, right? That it just kind of blows my mind a little bit, a Ferrari SUV.
Yes.
And I guess it's kind of interesting, right? Because the Lamborghini came out with the SUV too, and it seems to be extremely popular as well. So
the Lamborghini Urus, yes, we've actually have had at least a half dozen of them come through over the last 6 months, and it's been interesting.
Yeah,
it's an interesting vehicle to drive, but again, utility is important to our luxury car buyer.
Kind of looking at the trends again, we talked a little bit about how popular SUVs are. Are there some things that aren't as popular anymore? Is it just the sedan is just not as in demand?
The sedan has fallen out of favor over the last 3 years because the family is wanting the capacity to be able to access cargo. Yeah. And to be able to take kids around or travel with their camping gear or whatever. And a sedan just doesn't fit that mode of lifestyle. Yeah. So it's been a lifestyle change that has changed what is being manufactured today.
Yeah. I love that. And that's kind of the beauty of it. It's all about lifestyle, right? And it's kind of practicality.
Yes.
And I think where even in the luxury real estate world, I mean, historically big was better. Now it's kind of how it all functions. Yeah. And how it all works for you, how the space is designed, and how you live today. It's almost the same concept for cars. How does it fit my lifestyle? And that's what I want. Exactly. Versus just the brand name or something like that. It's got to be practical.
Exactly.
And I love, I love the fact that you talked a little bit about Aston Martin. It's one of my favorite brands. I just love those cars, and they were a little bit sleepy. I think historically, but it sounds like they're stepping up their game with the SUV and some other redesigns.
Also, yes, there's a new model that came out 2 years ago called the Vantage. It's a two-seater. It first came out as a coupe with a hatchback, which was surprisingly roomy. So if you like to golf or go away, you have a lot of cargo space. And the performance is phenomenal for a vehicle that is sub 200,000 right now. Right. That market has become very crowded, and they've been able to separate themselves from a lot of other cars in that price point. They've now come out with a convertible version. They're going to be redesigning the DB11. We'll be hearing more about that by the end of this month, what the plan is with that branding. Rolls-Royce, like I said earlier, will be coming out with their new Spectre, an all-electric vehicle, very soon. Bentley will be coming out with an all-electric car also in the next 2.5 years.
Yeah, I love it.
So it's getting
So
it's
SUV
getting
and
exciting.
electric are
Yes,
hot.
they are. They are.
So if you look at kind of, and I know you kind of cover, obviously, Tampa to Sarasota and probably well beyond that. I mean, what's the most popular car out there? Or
Well, we have been selling a lot of Rolls Royces.
okay.
That Cullinan has been a winner.
Mm-hmm.
We are selling a lot of Bentleys with the Bentley Bentayga SUV, the redesigned Continental Series, and now we have the Flying Spur that's come out also in a hybrid form,
Okay.
as well as an 8-cylinder or a 12-cylinder model, as has the Bentayga. So it's been tremendous. We're very excited.
Yeah.
McLaren's going to be coming out with a new car
Yeah.
at the end of the year as well. And it's just
It's
a lot. There's a lot to choose from.
Yeah. It seems very dynamic.
Yes,
You know, and
it is dynamic.
and certainly kind of interesting, right? Because the demand is so high, and obviously they could sell a lot of cars even without redesigning. But it sounds like they're also trying to adapt to that new lifestyle change that people want: electric, SUV, et cetera.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Well, also, we're very aware, for example, of the Rolls-Royce. The median age of the Rolls-Royce buyer when I first started with Dimmitt 7 years ago was 59 years old. It's now 43.
Yeah. Wow.
Because of the Black Badge Edition, which is a very, very dark, sporty, and very mysterious
Yeah. Interesting.
appearance to the car that makes you really realize, wait a minute, this is more than just a regular Rolls Royce here.
Yeah, interesting. So I always like to talk about fun clients,
Sure.
fun things. So obviously no names needed, but I mean, your biggest client, how many cars have they bought and sold over the years?
My biggest client personally has bought 4 cars. I don't know how many they've sold,
Right.
because they've sold some of it to
Sure.
us and to other dealers, I'm sure. But we have a very loyal client following.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we call them on a regular basis. We keep them abreast of what's happening in the market.
Right.
And they really follow what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's it's collecting. I mean, it's
Correct.
collecting, right? And it's
Yes.
I think it's interesting because I think, obviously, cars have always had interesting values, et cetera, over
Yes.
the years. But now I think they are, to a certain extent, an appreciating asset in some cases.
Well, certain models are.
Yeah, exactly.
For example, the McLaren Speedtail, which Dimmitt, I believe, sold 4 of them. And they've all appreciated 50-60%
Wow, interesting.
in a 3-year period. That is not the rule.
Right,
That's the
right.
exception. But there are a lot of cars
Right.
that have appreciated in value.
And so again, fun fact, so highest price you've sold in the last couple of years?
The highest price was almost $500,000,
Interesting.
and that was an SUV, the Cullinan. And they're just selling. We need more of them.
Yeah, exactly. And just for fun, lowest priced? It's probably to
Pre-owned.
me.
Pre-owned? No. Pre-owned. Most of them are going to be running in 80 and 80 plus.
Yeah. Interesting. And Sarasota Studio, I mean, generally you can access pre-owned
Yes.
from pretty much all the brands, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And we can also assist in getting a new car, bringing it down from our main showroom.
Right.
All you have to do is go online, which is Dimmit.com. And if you see something, let us know, and we'll be happy to bring the car.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Fred, anything else you want to throw out about the market, car market, what's happening?
What's really going to happen over the next 18 to 24 months, we're still going to have supply chain challenges. And it's interesting because the manufacturers are really working very hard with their suppliers to try to anticipate what's going to be happening.
Right.
Whether it's due to weather, due to a war, due to COVID, because those disruptions do make it difficult. We had an unfortunate incident a few months back where we had 7 of our Bentleys that were completed and on a ship supposed to be coming over, and it sank off the coast of Portugal, and everybody knows that news.
Wow.
I believe there were 149 Bentleys on that.
That can change your supply situation.
It did.
Yeah.
It did. But apparently my understanding is everybody that had ordered the cars said, please get us another car, and we put them at the front of the line so that they'll get them as soon as possible.
Yeah, interesting. And I think that's just the world we're living in right now. There's all of these issues, and it's good to hear that people are taking a really practical approach to it and trying to manage it up front.
Right.
Because I think that is the new world of
Yes.
logistics and how it all works. So,
Yes.
yeah. And I appreciate you being on the show. Obviously, we go way back.
Yeah.
And Fred's been amazing working with me with real estate. I mean, he's happy to deliver a car to any of my listings for photo shoots or for events. So again, it's really fun to work with Dimmitt and you over the years. So I really appreciate our history and our future and you being on Talking Trends.
Well, thank you for the invitation, and we're very grateful that you have had us on.
Awesome. Thanks,
Thank
Fred.
you.
And thank you for joining us for another segment of Talking Trends. We look forward to seeing you again. Take care.